Hello, everyone. So great to be here at this great conference. Even though it's virtual, still an awesome conference. I'm so grateful for the organizers to have us at this event. And I'm really excited for when we get back in physical reality, all meeting together with all you great people. So let's just get started on this great session on automation and what MEF is working on in automation. So MEF is a nonprofit organization made up of about 200 plus members, 130 of them service providers, and they're really all sharing a common goal. You know, digital transformation is a massive, massive tidal wave, over $11 trillion and growing massively. And really the underpinning of that is network transformation. And really network transformation is the heart of what's happening in our industry. And it's such an amazing time to be here in this industry. So let's just start exactly what we're working on at MEF to enable the underpinning for this digital economy and digital transformation. MEF is really focused on 4 pillars, and I'm going to go in the details of how automation is going to be playing a critical role in network transformation and the work we're doing in MEF. Number 1 is this very high-speed underlay, which I'll go in detail, and how that high-speed underlay is connected not only at the data plane level, but automated through APIs. Number 2, a very agile overlay, SD-WAN has come in hugely and being deployed massively by enterprise customers and really, really great technology. Finally, we're seeing now on top of SD-WAN that evolution to SD-WAN overlays with automated managed security and virtualized functions and SASE being top of mind from everybody, zero trust and so on, and XDR is emerging. And finally, Edge is coming in massively, and Edge is such an incredible innovation with edge computing to enable all kinds of digital services use case for the digital economy. So let's just walk through really what is MEF doing in these 4 pillars around automation, with the key point being automation. And I'm really going to cover the areas about how we've approached automation from an inter-carrier, inter-provider point of view, because I think that's really the heart of where there is an opportunity right now. Many providers, especially the tier 1s, have already started their automation journey inside their whole footprint and networks and so on. But inter-provider and between providers and even the multinational large enterprise customers is a huge opportunity on how do we enable automation. So MEF has been working in a framework for almost 5+ years called the Lifecycle Service Orchestration Framework. And in our framework specifications, we define these reference points, and really it starts with business systems talking to business systems and business systems talking to orchestration systems, then finally talks down to the network. So in the north-south side, we see business systems when there's basically enterprise customers requesting some kind of service. There's, instead of people taking that request and provisioning all that service, basically, we're seeing machines come into play of lifecycle service orchestration systems, and they get the request to APIs. And then on the south side of that, they talk to infrastructure control and management systems, mainly SDN controllers, NFV manos, legacy EMS systems, and so on. And really, all of this is really automation at its best. But really, what I'm going to cover is really automation at this east-west direction from the business layer, because I really believe the commercialization aspect has to start first. There has to be the ability to transact a commercial model, a commercial interaction between operators and the ecosystem alike, to then enable that operational set of capabilities of lifecycle management at the below levels I talked about. But I'm going to cover what MEF is working at these commercial levels of APIs before all the operational level starts. So let me just walk you through this. The first use case we see is, as I talked about, is this retail wholesale relationship. And what happens here basically is we have a retail service provider that has a set of wholesale partners that are already connected at the data plane level at very high speeds at Ethernet and IP at 10 gigabits to 400 gigabits to 800 gigabits will be merging. And this forms this massive global backbone fabric that every provider is connected to, not at the data plane level, but also at the automation level, which I'm going to cover in detail. This ability to turn up any loop of the planet from a retail service provider to a wholesale partner, asking them to turn up any loop at cloud-like speeds in seconds is really the essence of what we're trying to do with Sonata. And the use cases around that are really the ability for a retail service provider to ask any wholesale partner in their ecosystem for a certain address in their footprint, what services are you capable of, what's your price, and then the ability to order that service, turn it up, test it, and get service OEM information and so on, and then finally settle on that with digital settlement, smart contracts, and so on. So at MEF, we're enabling all of this with our APIs that I just described, and we also have started working and knee-deep into blockchain, working with C-band in delivering specifications, how to APIs and blockchain work together, because there are great use cases where blockchains serve a great technology innovation, especially when it comes to non-repudiation audit trails, smart contracts, digital settlements, and so on. Blockchains play a really critical role, and really APIs form a really great use case in other areas. And together between blockchains and APIs, they create the underpinning of network transformation automation between providers. We also see the need for, with SD-WAN emerging, the idea that with edge computing, that many service providers are being asked to not only manage the overlay of the SD-WAN service globally as a retail service, but also to be able to manage these underlay loops all over the planet. So now we see many of these SD-WAN retail service providers have to now be accountable for not only the SD-WAN service itself, but the underlay itself around the planet. And as I talked before on the other slide, there is an absolute need to be able to access these wholesale underlay operators and turn up that underlay to then run SD-WAN on top. So this is, again, another use case of the same APIs we talked about, Sonata, just related to SD-WAN. And obviously SASE being another critical aspect of it. Now, another really great use case we're seeing is APIs focused at the enterprise level. And this is really a new area, I believe, that has been emerging since the cloud hyperscale providers have been doing that to enterprise for enabling cloud-like speeds and cloud-like delivery and automation on clouds itself. Service providers are faced with the same thing now to become a telco cloud or a cloud-like in nature. As their edges appear, basically service providers want APIs, and they want them for different reasons. And like I said, before an enterprise can do anything at the operational level, they have to first ask questions about what's able at that edge or what's capable with a service provider. And again, a price quote or address starts with, what at a certain address, a certain geography, maybe a city, what kind of services are available. It could be edge compute, it could be bandwidth, or it could be anything. And then get finally, from a price quote to ordering and so on. And if a problem, trouble ticketing, changing the resources on demand, all these other lower level things belong in the operational side of the APIs. But the main part is that there's these commercial APIs that can be done before the operational aspect takes place. And again, smart contract, digital settlement can also be enabled by the enterprise to the service provider. Now, what I'm really talking about is this prerequisite at the commercial level has to be happening for everything else to happen at the operational level. So before a developer, can load on the bits at the edge, they have to first, negotiate, buy the services, buy the compute, storage, network, and so on. And that's the part I've been talking about. And we call those APIs cantata, and they're nothing more than the buy-only version of the Sonata. Sonata is a buy-sell version, and cantata is a buy-only version. Same APIs, and I'm going to show you how we do it, but just using a different use case based on the enterprise. Now, at the operational level, as I said, developers want to be able to load their bits in. How do they do that? How do they know that they can change the resources? How do they know that the service is working correctly? Maybe these application developers want to call on APIs or platform as a service or services computing, function as a service, all these things. These are all going to have to be operational kind of APIs. And that's MEF will be working on in collaboration with other SDLs. But today, we're mainly focused at the commercial level. So let me move on exactly how we've been doing these commercial APIs in the east-west direction between Sonata and Cantata reference points. Number one, MEF has done a very unique process in enabling these network automation. Number one is we've been defining service delivery models, service definitions we call them, where a subscriber buys a service, and when they buy the service, they know exactly what they're buying, and it really removes market confusion. So we started with Carrier Ethernet almost 15 plus years ago. We've now standardized SD-WAN. We've standardizing optical transport. We standardized IP in the way of automation model, certainly working with IETF and all their Yang models. And then we're standardizing SASE and zero trust also. So all of this standardization we've modeled in these what we call UML information models. And these models have been being used to be able to extract out the data models that are needed, and we'll see how they'll be applied. In addition, we've taken and built up business requirements and use cases where we've looked at what are we trying to do when we automate the commercial aspects, for example, of Sonata between two providers for these kind of services. It could be underlay, Carrier Ethernet or IP, or it could be Cantata SD-WAN services or SASE services, zero trust services, or edge services that we've yet to be defined. So all of this is defined in this business requirements and use case specifications, which really talks about the operational model, how the interaction should happen between these business systems. So not the actual mechanics of the API, but the actual use cases and how the operational thread should play out. And these are really well documented in these standard specifications that MEF has been working on for 4+ years. We have them again for all these ideas of address, site, inventory, quote ordering, and so on. And all of these business use cases then serve the ability to then basically build out the APIs. And again, we are delivering software development kits in this area of these different reference points. Today, it's Sonata, Cantata will be packaged out with our next release. I'll talk about that. And all of these SDKs packaged out, basically not only these business case requirements, use case specifications that the architects, software architects might want to understand, but also the actual APIs themselves. And these APIs are also bundled in with developer guides and testing scripts and so on in our SDK. So this is really unique to what we're doing in MEF. We've taken a very holistic view about taking the service definitions, and you're going to see how that plays out in a second, with complete operational use case requirements to finally the APIs themselves, and all of this a bundle in an SDK that then forms out the specific request of what the API should do. So again, we are releasing these software development kits every 6 months, and we've released our Aretha one, which was our 6th release for Sonata. Billy will have a Sonata 7th release. It'll also include other releases with Cantata, first release of Cantata, which is just a rebundling of Sonata for a buy-only model, and so on. And we really name these kind of releases after singers. And really, it's 2 overall releases per year. And one SDK per LSO reference point is in that release. So depending on what reference points needs to be updated, we put that in the release. And basically, we are delivering this all in a polymorphic model. So I'm going to get into the technicalities of what I mean by polymorphic. And there we've been working with TM Forum and really working and using their polymorphic approach to really enable this idea of having an API, which is really the ability for 2 systems, business systems, to communicate to each other, talk to each other in some language. But what they communicate to each other, what is the context of what they talk to each other, is really basically the payload information, or what we call this payload schema. So between this idea of the actual API itself that has the functionality of the wire protocol, the encoding scheme, the security mechanism, and the operational methods of REST and so on. Yes, there's a schema involved in that, but there's also the idea of relaying what. For example, to do a price quote, an order, or for an address, what do I want to do? Do I want to do that for pizzas? Do I want to do it for bandwidth? I want to do that for voice. I want to do that for edge computing and so on. That's all carried in this, what we call the product payload. Now, this product payload is where we've defined all the schemas and data models that MEF represents for carrier Ethernet, IP broadband, IP services, SD-WAN, SASE, and so on. And that's all carried in this schema representation in the product model. And in this schema representation, this is really the TM Forums schema. And what we've done is we've modified that in collaboration with them, followed with their governance. And we have what we call a domain context specialization, which what means is that we've modified the TM Forum with their blessing and with their collaboration. We've added in attributes, removed attributes, and so on that was needed for the specific use cases described of, addressing, quote, ordering, billing, and so on. And then basically we then define a different schema for every product type. I mean, it could be carrier Ethernet, IP broadband, SD-WAN, SASE, zero trust, it doesn't matter. And that product schema and the basically we call the envelope schema, which is the use case from TM Forum, are blended together to create one big schema in what we call a static binding approach. So that is basically how we're doing it. And again, we're on our 7th release. We are looking to add a catalog model. And with the catalog API, we'll be able to do dynamic binding where this can stay static, the actual use case APIs of, address, quote, ordering, yet the products can change the schemas as they will very, very consistently, and basically not have to change out the actual envelope API and have a catalog where two systems can exchange their product models and product schemas and have the business systems understand those versions and those products and still keep context in relationship to the use case of the API, where the billing, quote, ordering, and so on. So this is really a key area of what we're doing in MEF, and we've collaborated with the TM Forum on this, and this is truly a polymorphic approach, and we're very excited about it. This not only the static binding, but the dynamic binding capabilities, which will really enable these business systems that are so mission critical to be very agile and DevOps in nature, yet have the API being very consistent, meaning the envelope side of the API. Okay, we again have all kinds of assets, blockchains. We have, like I said, in our SDKs, all the various types of artifacts. We also are doing API security. We have a project around API and securing the APIs itself, including the blockchain. We have payloads, as I talked about. We're also doing a tested certification I'll talk about in a second. So that's very important. So these are these use case areas. And what we're doing in MEF is enabling all of that from an east-west direction. So in addition, we support our members with partner onboarding in not only in all these assets of developer guides, the APIs themselves, reference implementation, dev test, blah, 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 but also certification. And certification and dev community manager is very critical as we see our members develop these APIs. As we have lots of members that have already gone in production with these East-West Sonata Cantata APIs, they need support and help. And certification is a very critical area. And in MEF, we have not only professional certification, but we also have certification on technology and services. And we're doing that for carrier Ethernet, SD-WAN, and soon to be, we'll be announcing our Sonata Cantata LSO API certification. So stay tuned for that. And with that, I'd like to thank you for joining me on this great conference. And I'm so excited to want to be there physically next year. So take care and have a great day.